All right. We were talking about Lost.
Yes, we were. What were we saying about Lost?
Oh, the huge. We were talking about the jungle. We were talking about this metaphor that billionaire Ray Dalio sort of gives in this interview. That basically is this metaphor about life and the meaning of life and what happens after you die. Okay, not that far, but at least the first part. This metaphor of a jungle and the idea of being on one side of the jungle and you can have an ordinary life, or you can go to the other side of the jungle and have the best life possible, but you'd have to go through the jungle and then struggle and try to survive to get through there. And we were just talking about how it's basically sums up the basic idea of Lost in a very succinct way, because it in his understanding of life, actually, wanting that best life, or whatever goal you might want for yourself, going through the jungle to try to achieve that, the way you survive that is by the people you find along the way who help you survive and do that thing, which is basically the main point of Lost. But it's a point of Lost that the characters never really got. And we were just talking about how it wasn't actually really any um, kind of stated point of view of any character like that specific. So you were just saying how Locke was like, okay, we, step one, we're brought here for a reason. Okay, so there is a reason that we should be here and not just try to leave. But it's the step two to like, oh, we actually are supposed to find peace being here, like, and struggling to survive this place is the reason we're here, which is kind of what Jacob
Yeah.
wanted, right? um I think, and not to pile too much on top, but the other thing I wanted to say about Jacob is like, he also had step one. I need to bring them to the island. Whatever is broken about them, they'll be tested through the hardships of the island. But like number two, I felt like he never said, well, what was the point of that? You know, uh, is it obviously there was like a practical point of needing the candidates, but in terms of for the actual losties, I felt like, do you think they actually said went as far as saying they'll be their best version of themselves if they do this? I feel like it
Right.
didn't go that far.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was no. He's like they need the island, but
Hmm.
that isn't quite the same thing as saying like the island will help them self-actualize. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's more like yeah, I don't know. It's more like there's something lacking in their lives and
Hmm.
this will help them to realize that it's a little bit like, have you ever seen the Saw movies? Any
I
of
have
them?
not. I haven't saw any of
You
them.
didn't you haven't saw them? Okay. Um yeah, so like the basic conceit behind the Saw movies is
No spoilers.
can I
I'm
not
gonna. I'm gonna watch all the Saw movies eventually,
are
aren't
you?
I?
Are you?
I definitely want to see the first one because I heard it's really
No,
good, and then the
I
sequel.
really can't say my point without spoiling at least part of the plot. I mean,
Oh man, it's been 20 years. Am I willing to let it be spoiled
I
now?
wouldn't, it wouldn't give away all of the surprises in the
Okay.
first movie because they're not all about the thing that I want to say. Like
Okay.
basically what I want to explain is so like in to pivot to a different series. Nightmare on Elm Street, the idea is like Freddy Krueger was this like child killer, whatever, and he got off for some reason, and the
Mhm.
parents banded together and they killed him.
Mhm.
And so then he comes back and haunts their children in their dreams for revenge, right? That's his
Mhm.
basic, like, the reason why he's doing what he was doing and like the backstory. So, anyway, it's basically that's the story that I was going to tell about Saw. Um,
Gotcha.
because I think it kind of ties in, it kind of ties in with what I feel like Jacob was doing.
Mm. Okay.
So okay, so I really
Someone
don't.
trapping people to ultimately try to get them to be better or something like that.
It's yeah, like yeah. So I guess to leave out a few details, like there's this idea that by going through hardships, you will, somehow be shaken out of your complacency, and you will, maybe learn to appreciate your life more or something.
Okay.
I think that's probably a good way to say it in a vague way that gives maybe a little less away than what I was intending.
Cool.
Um, so like I feel like that's kind of what he had in mind more so, um not that like the jungle was the point, but that it
Yeah. Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, I think the metaphor like is there, but I think it also,
I
doesn't get fully realized.
we well yeah, and I think the closer version, the sort of part where it goes a bit further than that is in the Flash Sideways, right? Where they do kind of reveal what the whole point was. What was even more important than what Jacob had planned, right? Which
Right,
was what's the afterlife all about and how does it work?
right,
And so, which is not something Jacob was privy to, right? He had his own just normal goals, right?
right.
So I think there it gets a little bit closer to that kind of reveal, which is why this comment by Ray Dalio is so surprising and engaging.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it's got this realization that he went through himself in his own life that um that is basically the realization the losties just get told by Christian at the end, right? They didn't really even intuit it. And in
Right.
a very, very, very minor way, like
Well, I feel like some of them intuited it. It kind of seemed like Jack just didn't get it, so he had to be explained. But I had the impression the rest of them kind of got it without anyone telling them. I don't know.
well, I don't know how much I think that the individual losties at the church believe the granular details of what Christian said, like the most important ever thing you guys ever did was your time on the island, whatever that line was. Like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
get it in a general sense, but that kind of like, this is a place you guys made together, so you could find each other, move on together. Like, I agree with you. I think they get it in a general sense, but